Grade 10 English Cbse Footprints Without Feet. Unit 9 The Book That Saved the Earth. This is a play of two scenes where we see the characters historian, great and mighty think tank, apprentice Noodle, Captain Omega, Lieutenant Oita, Sergeant Oop. In the first scene, historian is sitting at a table downright on which is a movie projector is kept. A sign on an easel beside her reads Museum of Ancient History, Department of the 20th Century. She welcomes the audience to her museum and says, the 20th century was called as era of book because it taught everything for the people. People came to know how, when, where, why things are happening through the books. The books were illustrated, educated, punctuated, and even decorated. She says the strangest thing a book ever did was to save the earth from Martian invasion of 2040. She asks the audience. She turns on the projector and points out the picture. There enters our main character, Think Tank, along with its assistant, Noodle. Think Tank likes to get praised by Noodle all the time, and Noodle does the same. Think Tank gets happy by the praising words of Noodle and asks the Noodle to give its mirror to see in. Think Tank takes mirror and says, Mirror, mirror in my hand, who is the most fantastically, intellectually gifted being in the land? There will be a pause. Then the mirror answers, You, sir. For which Think Tank gets angry and slaps the mirror and says to answer quickly the next time. Then Think Tank praises itself, saying that Martians are handsome and attractive than Earthlings. Those tiny heads of Earth are not beautiful at all, and suggests Noodle to keep on exercising to increase its size and its mind. And Noodle acknowledges that the same will be done. Then Think Tank says Noodle to contact the space probe so that it can invade the Earth before lunch. Noodle says yes and goes for the arrangement. When the scene 2 opens, Noodle says that the space crew is in contact. Then Think Tank says to ask whereabouts of the Earth. Captain Omega, Lieutenant Ita, Sergeant Oop, all three had reached Earth without any problem. Here, Ita says that they are not able to understand the place where they have landed. Oop guesses that it must be a place where sewing things are sold. Later on, it takes a book, opens it, and keeps on its head. Omega asks Mighty Think Tank to say about this matter. Think Tank asks Omega to take the things around and hold it little up so that it can take close view and guess what is that. At the end, Think Tank announces that it must be a sandwich and the place is a refreshment stand. Omega repeats the same and Oop tells that Earthlings are strange creatures and have strange diet. Think Tank says that item as sandwich. All other they repeat it again. Think Tank says sandwiches are main staple of earth diet. There will be two slices of bread and in between some sort of filling. Think Tank ask them to eat and confirm the same. Omega says that Lieutenant Ita has not had her breakfast and orders her to eat this sandwich. Ita says, without getting my sergeant food, I cannot eat. It will be very impolite. So both Ita and Omega forcefully make Oop to eat and taste that sandwich. Oop says it's very difficult to eat this sandwich without water. It is so dry and tasteless. Suddenly, Noodle says that it got something struck into its mind and says think tank that earthlings did not eat those sandwiches. Those were used as communication device. Think tank gets upset and says, I was about to say the same thing, that is communication sandwich. Then think tank orders them to check with those things by keeping to their ears. But they don't get any answer. Though Omega says that they will be listening it, they are not able to listen any sound. Then Noodle interrupts one more time and says, something I have got information which is running in my mind. But Think Tank doesn't allow Noodle to say anything. Think Tank says to ask the doubt and it will clarify the doubt of Noodle. Noodle says that Earthling were not listening to those sandwiches. They were opening it and watching them. Then Think Tank tells Omega to take a large sandwich in front of it and keep that open. Omega says it appears to contain pictures of earthlings, to be some sort of code. Think Tank tells Oita to read out the codes and describe them. Oop says there are thousands of them that are pictures as well as little lines and squiggles. Then Think Tank says earthlings are not as primitive as they thought. Meanwhile, Noodle suggests that Think Tank should say these people to eat vitamins to increase their intelligence that was given by chemical department of Martian. Think Tank says the same for them. And all other they say they do the same. Think Tank says them to transcribe everything. Omega reads, Mistress Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? With cockle shells and silver bells and pretty maidens all in a row. Oop laughs at this and says, Pretty maids growing in a garden. What a funny thing. Then Think Tank asks everyone to stop and it says the earthlings are more intelligent than what they thought and they could grow a crop of rare metals such as silver, cockle shells, and they also grow high explosive. Noodle was called to contact invasion fleet. Noodle says that the invasion fleet is ready to attack Earth, but Think Tank says to stop it, not to let them go. Think Tank says Oita to read and transcribe. Oita reads, Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. The cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon. Oop laughs at this. Think Tank says that earthlings have taught their pet animals, domesticated animals, musical culture, and space techniques. Even their dogs have a sense of humor. Think Tank says by now the Earthling must have launched an interplanetary attack of millions of cow and ask their fleet to stop invasion for today. Then instruct Oop to transcribe the next code. Oop reads, Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men cannot put Humpty Dumpty together again. After reading, Oop gets shocked to see a picture like think tank in the book. Think tank holds its head and shouts that it's my great and mighty balloon brain. Earthlings have seen me and they're after me. Think tank thinks that earthlings are trying to attack him and earthlings are planning to capture Mars central control and ask Noodle to prepare for space capsule so that it can escape immediately without delay. After listening that, Omega, Ita and Oop rushed out by putting books back on shelves. Noodle asked Think Tank, where shall we go, sir? Think Tank says, 100 million miles away from Mars. It orders the invasion fleet to evacuate the entire planet of Mars. And it says that we are all going for Alpha Centauri. At the end, historian comes on the stage again and says, that is how one dusty old book of nursery rhymes saved the world from a Martian invasion. She continues saying that in the 25th century, that is after 500 years of after all this happened, Earthlings and Mars have become friends and Think Tank had been replaced by a very clever Martian that was Noodle. Even model library was established in Marsopolis.